Millions of fans have spent years trying to prove that a 1990s cartoon series possesses actual supernatural foresight. The case for it rests on a series of undeniable reality strikes. The show, called A Donald Trump Presidency 16 years before it happened, anticipated Disney's takeover of 20th Century Fox, and even detailed Brazil's humiliating 2014 World Cup collapse. The latest viral obsession centers on a 1997 joke. In a brief commercial break, the Simpsons television advertises a massive soccer final to determine the greatest nation on Earth, Mexico against Portugal. For the 2026 World Cup, that matchup is geographically plausible. The tournament will be hosted across North America, with the final slated for MetLife Stadium, putting Mexico in a prime position to compete in front of their own fans. While it's tempting to credit these hits to magic, the show's writers rely on a specific method of comedy engineering to identify where society is heading. Satire often starts with taking an existing cultural trajectory and pushing it to its most absurd conclusion. In an episode aired in March 2000, Lisa Simpson enters the Oval Office and mentions inheriting a massive budget crunch from President Trump. By 1999, Donald Trump was already a tabloid fixture who had formed an exploratory committee to run for president with the Reform Party. The writers identified a shift where celebrity fame was beginning to weigh as heavily as political experience, and they simply projected that trend into the future. This same logic fueled a background joke in 1998, showing 20th Century Fox as a subsidiary of the Walt Disney Company. At the time, the two companies occupied opposite ends of the media spectrum. Fox was edgy and rebellious, making a buyout by the hyper-sanitized Disney empire the most ironic corporate merger the Miters could conceive. By accurately diagnosing the trajectory of media consolidation and celebrity worship in the late 90s, the show's writers made a future reality look like a calculated guess. Prophecy often stems from piercing through polished PR to state truths that others choose to ignore. Springfield's 1993 casino episode featured a magic act clearly modeled after Siegfried and Roy. When the cartoon tiger turned on its handlers, it served as a basic reminder that wild apex predators remain inherently dangerous, regardless of the stage lights and costumes. This pattern appeared again in a 2014 episode, where a high-ranking football official is arrested while discussing the corruption within his own organization. A year later, reality caught up. In 2015, 14 people, including 9 high-ranking football officials, were charged with racketeering and money laundering. The financial scope of the scandal was staggering, with investigations uncovering more than $150 million in bribes and kickbacks paid over decades. The fallout became so severe that it forced the resignation of Sepp Blatter, who had been the untouchable face of the organization for years. Identifying a scandal before it breaks is often a matter of looking past official press releases and acknowledging open secrets. Beyond observation, there is the raw mathematical probability of the law of large numbers across thousands of hours of television. In 1997, a background gag featured a magazine advertisement for a $9 bus fare, positioned directly next to a silhouette of the World Trade Center. Audiences retroactively assigned dark significance to this layout after the events of September 11th, turning a random graphic design choice into a legend. The 2026 World Cup follows a similar mathematical path. With the tournament expanding to 48 teams, the sheer volume of matches and groups makes unlikely pairings statistically more probable. The narrative weight is what makes the Mexico-Portugal theory stick. It pits Mexico's attempt to break a historical curse at home against Cristiano Ronaldo's final pursuit of the one trophy missing from his career. Confirmation bias allows us to scan 35 years of comedy and select the specific jokes that align with current events, manufacturing meaning out of coincidence. The show's true predictive power comes from satirists tracking the repetitive cycles of corporate greed and human behavior. The 1997 Mexico versus Portugal joke contains a final, darker detail. The game concludes with a massive stadium riot rather than a celebration. A chaotic ending to the 2026 final would follow the show's understanding of human nature repeating its most predictive, destructive patterns. When reality continues to mirror these cynical jokes, it reflects the writer's ability to understand human nature better than we understand ourselves.